My name is Maya Williams. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a UX designer, and I'm also an educator. So a little bit about me. I am from Detroit, Michigan, currently reside in Indianapolis. I graduated from Pike High School in 2011. So if anyone here is from Indianapolis and from Pike High School, shout out to you. I have a bachelor's degree in exercise science from Robert Morris University. It's a little bit different than tech, but I came into technology around 2018, and I graduated with my UX design certificate in 2019. I'm currently a user experience engineer, and I primarily like UX research. So first of all, what is UX? What is a UX engineer? What is UX design? So just to go over a very brief overview. So as a UX designer, it's our job to make technology easy and accessible. So what does that mean? UX designers, we are product designers in the digital space. So we decide how apps look and feel in the hands of users before it's built by a developer. So we basically think about all the things like, what are people's problems? What do we need to solve? How can we solve that with technology? And we're pretty much like the brains and the thought and the soul behind an app. So as a UX designer, you get to research and design solutions for thousands of people, potentially millions, depending on the product that you're building. So just a little bit more about UX design. So there are two facets of user experience design. There's user interface, that's the UI, and then user experience, that's the UX. So let's start with the UX. So with the user experience, we do things about how a site is used and how it's navigated. So basically the architecture of a website. So we do lots of research, lots of interviewing and testing. We do lots of architecture, so like maps, figuring out where to go, how to get from point A to point B. And we also do some low fidelity prototyping with sketching. So with user interface, the UI, which is what we're going to dive into today, we work with things like color, typography, and animation. We work with developer teams to make our ideas come to life. And we also create high fidelity prototypes. So for design, and I'm gonna do a little demo with this here. So I have a couple of things pulled up. I have a notebook, I have my Figma, and we're going to just do some cool things. So first thing when it comes to design, you always start with sketching with just straight up pencil and paper. I have my notebook here. It never leaves my desk. I have like a slew of pens. Always start your designs with paper and pencil sketching. I promise you, you'll thank yourself later. Some good things about sketching with pencil and paper: you're able to make mistakes fast. You're able to try many, many, many different things. Think about it. If I have a pencil, I can write down a cool idea. If it looks silly, I can scratch that out and go to the next one. Whereas if I'm working on a computer doing something digital, I spend a lot more time building out that thing for it to be the wrong thing. And I just wasted tons of time. So always start with pencil and paper first, even if you're not an artist, because you literally only need two tools to know how to sketch. So that is literally, if you know how to draw a line and if you know how to draw a circle, you pretty much have everything that you need to start sketching out your ideas. So like as we can see here, I have a screen and it's made through just a series of boxes and circles. And you can make anything you want. So today I'm gonna sketch out, today we're gonna make a social media app together. In my notebook here, because I use my notebook for everything, about halfway through, I have some sketches here. I started sketching out an app screen that I want to make. So I made just a little profile screen, a menu, and I also have a little search screen. So I'm just going to show you guys what I made just to show how chicken scratch it is and that you don't need to be an artist. I have circles, I have lines, and that has helped me to make my screen. So step 2, after we sketch out our ideas on paper, we go to digital design. And yes, Dane said bare bones, yet very effective. Absolutely true. Absolutely. So with Figma, Figma is a user interface design application. And what's so great about Figma is that it runs in your browser. If you go to, I believe it's just figma.com. I'm going to throw this in the chat as well so you have the website. It is free to download, and there is a free tier for Figma. So I highly recommend, if you have not used a design tool, Figma is a great place to start. It is an industry standard. Most companies will use either Adobe, so like Adobe XD, they'll use Sketch, or they'll use Figma. So it's a great tool to start with. So let me switch my screen share here. And I'm going to, all right, so I'm about to switch to my Figma screens. And right now I have an example of what I sketched out, but I'm just going to make it brand new from scratch for you all. And we can kind of walk through this process together. All right, so now these are my Figma screens. And if we can see, so actually let me stop my screen share just so my face is bigger on here. If we see when I started, these are my sketches that I started out with. And it was literally just boxes and circles. I have my menu page, and I also have a search page here. This one was one that I messed up. And I have my search page here. So just going from these little sketches, I went to creating high fidelity designs in Figma. So as you can see here, I have 3 different screens of my fake social media. And I basically created a product here. So let's go ahead and try to do this together. So some basics of Figma, learning about frames, text, and colors. We can create pretty much anything we want to. So I'm going to go ahead and make my screen a little bigger here. I'm going to start off to the side. I'm going to make a frame here. And to do that, I'm just going to go to frame. And I'm going to make an iPhone 11. So let's do these iPhone 11 Pro. I'm just going to put that over here. Let's focus on this iPhone 11 Pro. So with our iPhone, I want to create my mock social media. How are we doing on time? Awesome. We have about 15 minutes. Perfect. So here I'm going to start off. So just like how we did circles, squares, we're going to do circles and squares again here on Figma. So starting with the shape, I'm going to add a rectangle. And I want this rectangle to take up the top of my page. So if I am looking at my sketch, I see that I want, basically a normal profile page. So I want to start with my diagram in the corner. I want my photo, and then I want some more photos down here. So let's just start by adding shapes so we can make our page kind of come to life. So I'm going to add a circle, and I want it to be perfectly round. I'm going to make that 100 by 100. And let's just get rid of this for now. So I'm going to start off with my circle. I want to add text. So I'm going to call it Mayagram. Mayagram. And let's style this. So with my text right now, it is just, it's default. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you all. Okay, so right here I'm at my default text. It's called Myogram. I have some text styles that I made already, but let's try to make a new text style. So with these text styles, we see that I have headings already in my page. I have a header 1, header 2, paragraphs. So I can just do like a quick short key here, and that just makes all of my text to fall in line with the text styling. So if I wanted to do that on my own, I can add in my text. So let's say Myogram. Let's say I don't want to add special heading. Let's change my font here. We'll change it to this fancy looking thing. And I can make this a text style just by going to add, and we can call it sample. So now anytime that I want to change anything, I can just go here and change my text style. So I can go to my text style, change it to sample, boom. But let's go ahead and change it back. So I have my text styles. I can also do this with color styles. So as we see here, I have purple, white, and black that I have set as my color style. So like if I go here, I can just change it to purple. And we'll change it back for the sake of the demo. Okay, so Myogram, and let's add some extra text here. So let's say I have 25 posts, and let's change our text to all right, so 25 posts, and let's center that. And let's do another text to say 100 followers. And then we'll do a third to say 32 following. All right, so, and just to make all this fit, we'll make it a little bit smaller. All right, so I have my page, Myogram. We have a photo, posts, followers, and following. Let's actually add a real photo here. So another great thing about Figma is that I can add, there are different plugins, so I can add some photos here through our, let's use this plugin called Pexels. This is really good for finding stock photography. So went to my Pexels plugin. Let's just search person. Cool, so let's use, ooh, tons of cool photos. Let's use this one as our profile. Awesome, so as we see, we can add in our Pexels photo. Let's make that a perfect circle, 85 by 85. Awesome. And then let's, to even show you some more about these Figma plugins, let's add an icon. So we can go here. Iconify is my favorite icon maker. And let's just click, let's get a menu. All right, so we have our menu. And let's make this a little bit bigger. We'll say 40 by 40. Let's see if that's big enough. I'd say that's a good size. All right, so I have the top of my app here. Now I want to add some photos for my post. So to do that, I'm going to add some rectangles. So going to our shapes. And I'm going to add 2. So I'm going to copy that, add another. Let's just add 3 for good measure. All right, so I have my 3 rectangles. And let's add photos to these for their posts. So again, I'm going to go to my plugins, my Pexels, and let's look for sunset. Let's look for a picture of a sunset. That looks nice and sunsetty. So I have that photo. How do I find plugins? Great question. So I'll look for more photos as I'm answering some of these questions. Figma, you can find their plugins if you just Google Figma plugins. I think the first Google search will take you to their whole homepage of that. If you go into the menu, I don't think you can see it because I'm not sharing my tab. Oh, that's why you can't see it, because I'm sharing my tab and not my screen. So let me go ahead and share my whole screen for you all. So then I think you'll be able to see how I'm doing these plugins. Thank you, Joni. I think you caught that from me. All right, so my top bar here, can you guys see? Yes, okay. So in my top bar of Figma, there is a section called plugins, and then I have a whole list of my plugins right here. If I want to change my plugins, I can go to manage, and then I can search for new ones that way. And also there are ways to add developer plugins. Let me see if I can send you all a link. Awesome, yes. So I will also send this link on how to find and install plugins. My favorite plugins are Pexels, Iconify, and Mapmaker. I just put them on the chat. And they are my favorite just because they make design easier. As you can see, like I'm able to choose all of these photos within Figma. I don't have to go anywhere. Let's do driving. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to go to Google to download extra. I can just find things like right in front of me. Let's find a photo of dogs. Awesome. Okay, so I made this first page. And just for good measure, let's make it a little bit, let's make it pretty. So I'm going to add another rectangle here. And let's make this purple. And just to show you all, so right now this is covering all of my text. If I drag this rectangle down, I can move it so it's behind things. Awesome. Okay, that's exactly what I want. That's very dark. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change this text here and make it white. Sorry, now I'm getting nitty-gritty into the design. So being a UX designer, it's really fun because I basically get paid to like digitally color. And it's really cool. Are there any more questions in the chat that I can answer at this time? As I'm going to change these colors, so I'm going to highlight that, make that white, make this white, and white. Okay, so changed all this to white because I wanted to add this color. It's real cute. And all right, so for the sake of time, I'm gonna stop here with making pages. So I have this one page that we made. So it went from this sketch right here, this sketch of squares and boxes, and now we have this Kenzigram page that we built in Figma. So I do want to show some other great qualities of Figma while we're here. I'm going to go back from sharing my screen to going back to sharing my tab. Okay. And I'm going to answer some questions here. Let's see. How long have I been using Figma? I've been using Figma, and this question's from Javier. I've been using Figma for about a year. I started out using a tool called Sketch. Sketch is pretty similar. It's actually identical. It's just made by a different company, and Sketch is also exclusive to Mac computers only. So if you have a PC, you aren't able to use it. And that's one reason why I stopped using Sketch, because I wanted to use something that other people could. Does Figma have options for drop shadows? Oh, absolutely it does. So if I'm clicking on a picture here, let me zoom in. And this question was from Jesse. So I have my profile picture. Let's go ahead and add some effects. So one of the effects here is a drop shadow, and you can see that there. just to show what it looked like before. And I can add a drop shadow pretty easily on the sidebar over here. So I can also change the properties of this shadow just by clicking on it. So I can make the blur or the spread like super large. So let's just add like 50 just so we can see. So I can change all of the elements of this blur, put it back to 0. I can change the color to make it more like purple to go with the theme if I wanted to. Let's make it black again because I don't really like the way that looks. But yeah, drop shadows, tons of little things that you can do. So going back, I want to show us a prototype. So these are some screens that I did make already prior to this. And I want to show just another way that we can use Figma here. So aside from doing our high fidelity designs, my favorite part of Figma is the prototyping feature. So I can basically make this into a functioning app that people can test on to basically show stakeholders, hey, you want to invest in this app before it's even built. So how I'm going to do that, I'm going to add some hotspots onto these screens that I made so we can navigate through these screens. So let's go ahead. I have my main profile page. I have a search page of puppies. And then I have a menu. So let's navigate through these things. If I click on this menu icon, I want my menu to open up. So now I'm going to go to the prototype section of Figma here. And so I'm clicking this, and I basically want this. So when I click, I want to open an overlay with this frame 1. Okay, and I want it to be in the top left of my page. And let's even add some more. And I wanted to dissolve. Also, when I click on the search bar, I want clicking on the search bar to navigate to this page. So navigate to the search page, and let's say, I don't know, let's do a slide in animation. I don't really know what that means. And awesome, and then we'll add one more. Okay, cool. So right now my prototype should be hooked up so we can actually scroll through this thing. So let's try it out. So I'm going to go to my play button, my present. All right, so let's see. Oh, it started us on the wrong page. Let's actually go back and add one more hotspot to make this our home page. So if they click on Myogram, it'll automatically take you home. Awesome. Okay, now let's start over. So if I click on this, it should be able to take me home. Boom, awesome. So now I'm at Myogram, and if I click on this search bar, it should take me to the search page of puppies. I'm at my puppies, and clicking on this should open my menu. Boom, open my menu. I'm realizing that some of my loading features, not all of my photos are loading. Sorry for my internet connection, but basically I wanted to show you how Figma's prototypes work. So if I'm here in an app, I'm able to basically create hotspots. So it's like if an app were actually functioning, this is what it would be like to the user. So they have their home page, they can open their menus, and they can navigate through different functions of the page. Okay, so those are like the biggest functions of Figma that I enjoy. I can go straight from sketching to design, high fidelity design, and I can show these products and these prototypes to both clients and potential investors, and also with my design team as well. gonna break here just to see if I have any questions. Can Figma be used to design websites that are usable? So Figma is basically the starting point to creating a design. So I can't, for instance, create these pages and then actually make them code. I would basically give these designs to a development team, and then the development team will take these and actually build it out to be a working product. The farthest that I can go with Figma's capabilities is this prototyping feature. And again, that prototyping is basically just being able to navigate between different screens here. One cool thing though about Figma, another thing that I didn't show you, this is also great for design teams because it will also help them in their development. So let me show you one more thing. If I go to the inspect section up here at the top, I can see what the CSS of my Figma page is. So I'm here, let's click on one element, and I can see that this is 155 pixels, 12 pixels from the top, 13 from the left. If I click on this photo, I can see all of the CSS down here. I can even copy this code snippet. I can look through here. I can copy the actual code and paste this into my VS Code, CodePen, whatever I'm working with. So I can basically make CSS properties from this Figma page that I built. And that's another way that you can use this across teams. Pretty fancy stuff. Let's see what other questions we have. When did I decide to pursue this career? So I'm kind of late in the game to design. Like I said, I graduated college in 2015, so 5 years ago now, and I didn't come into design until about 3 years after that. I went to college with a science degree, science-based background, and I thought I was going to go to medical school, but you know, things change and interests change. So I just kind of flipped the script and went to Kenzie Academy, which is a design and tech apprenticeship school. So I learned how to design things, and I also learned how to code. So I'm also a front-end developer. I know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. So I have some more questions coming in here.
Hi, Maya. It's Joni again. Hi, I'm with Nextech. Thanks to all the students for participating. One of the questions we have is, what is your biggest piece of advice for someone in high school who wants to learn UI UX?
Oh, I'd say my biggest piece of advice to learning UX, I'd just say start early, ask questions, always be asking why. So one really great way to kind of start your UX journey is to just take your phone, because I'm sure it's right by you right now, and open up an app and just think about what you like and what you don't like about that app. Are there some features that you think are unnecessary? Are there some features that you wish they had? Do the colors make your eyes hurt? Those are kind of the questions that a UX designer asks every day, all the time. So start asking those questions now. And then taking that a step further, just even think about, what would you do differently? What would you do the same? I think that's very important. If you wanted to start learning reading, I'd say definitely start reading up on some psychology, maybe even sociology, about why people do the things that they do. And that can even give you some insight about the theory of design. With actual design, definitely download Figma, make an account, it's free. I think you can have up to 2 or 3 projects at a time while still being under the free tier. So it's really great. I do have a few more slides. So these are my favorite Figma plugins. We kind of went through them. Pexels is really good for stock photos. Map Maker, it's really good for adding like fictional Google Maps. And then Iconify for icons. And then step 3 is prototyping, which I showed you all. I did want to show this slide though, if there are any more questions, because we have about 3 minutes left. And I'm definitely down to answer questions for that time. Also, feel free to send me an email, maya@kenzie.academy. You can also add me on LinkedIn or follow me on Twitter. So I'm happy to speak through any of those avenues. Let's see.
I was going to say, Maya, we've had some students who've had to drop off because of their lunch period. So we've lost a few. If there's any more questions for Maya, please include them in the chat. We got just a couple more minutes. And again, thank you, Maya, for joining Nextech and doing this for the students all across the Indiana. We have students all the way down in the southern end at Switzerland County and all the way up at the northwest end in Lake County. So we're all throughout the state today. So thank you so much for joining with us today. And
there is one more question. What's your favorite project you've worked on and why? Ooh, that's a really good one. So about a year ago, I worked on a project for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Indiana. And we actually created, it's called the Big app, and it's for bigs to find activities to take their littles to, like their little mentees. So I was a part of the research team in figuring out what features to include in that app. And I also was second designer on that app. So I thought that was really cool. I think that's my favorite, just because it was made to help lots of people. Awesome. Brody says on the free plan, you can have up to 3 projects. See, that's even better. That's really all you need. And then after you finish your project, you export it, delete it, and now you have 3 more. So it's really, really cool stuff.
All right. Well, Maya, thank you so much. Looks like our time is up. Again, thank you so very much. And students, please feel free to head out and grab some lunch, and our next session will start at 12:30.